Blog Talk Radio. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Hi everyone, it's Natalie James and Nathalie Jean, and on Chatting with Nat, we have the honor of having award-winning Canadian rock musician Rose Cora Perry. Rose Cora Perry is an award-winning Canadian rock musician and the front woman of powerhouse trio, The Truth Untold. She's graced the covers of magazines, achieved top 30 radio singles, and has performed at some of the world's most renowned music festivals, including Summer NAMM, Canadian Music Week, Warped Tour, Minifest NYC. Recognized for her raw and relatable lyrics as well as her thought-provoking music videos, Perry is a strong advocate of the straight-edge lifestyle and regularly donates her time and talents to various mental health fundraisers. Let's give her a round of applause. And there you have it. Hi, Rose. How are you?
Well, that's got to be one of the most epic introductions I've ever had, so thank you for that.
Yes, it is. You know, my two little hands can't do you justice, so we got to give you
the round of applause was a nice touch for sure.
Oh, my goodness. So how have you been?
I've been busy. We're working on putting together a tour this summer to promote and help support the release of our hit single, Not My Time. So been working away at that, planning on invading in a not military sense, but in a rock and roll sense, the United States again, and of course playing in our great country of Canada too. So really excited about kind of what we've got in the works for that.
Yay. Now, one of the questions I like to ask is this. Obviously, it's like the last 3 years have been cray. I mean, how have you held up? I mean, seriously, though, how have you held up, between, like, well, obviously in the United States, Roe versus Wade being overturned, we had tsunamis, president assassinations, obviously COVID, a pandemic. COVID had some babies, polio tried to make a comeback, heard there was measles, all kinds of different viruses coming out. Then it was RSV. Then there was politics. Then there was George Floyd. The list, mass shootings, a plethora in the United States, and some incidences in Canada. How did you work through all of that?
Honest to God, I mean, in addition to that, there was all tragedies going on with people's lives, right? Obviously, COVID, I think, affected us all on a very universal, really real human level, as far as kind of affecting social interactions, affecting us psychologically, affecting us, physically if we contracted it, but then it also took a toll in terms of families and relationships. And I had revealed to you personally that, I also lost my brother during that time. He passed away at the end of 2020. And then I lost a very close girlfriend of mine in May the following year. And I lost my cat of 17 years, kind of all in succession. Boom, boom, boom. So on a personal level, I would be being untruthful if I didn't say that I definitely went through some bouts of depression where I really wasn't feeling like myself, because in addition to dealing with these losses and the world kind of being closed, for lack of a better expression, I didn't have a means of, expressing myself artistically, which is a huge way that I cope, and I always have coped. So a huge part of my artistry has been channeling my emotions into music and then taking those songs and performing them publicly and connecting with people on that really real, visceral level, just kind of speaking that universal language, and having that live performance element completely eradicated for the past almost 3 years. Well, I had no motivation to even do anything musically because it didn't feel like there was an end in sight. it didn't feel like I was going to be able to connect with people. So, I mean, truthfully, I definitely struggled feeling down, but then I had to, be an adult, and I had to acknowledge, okay, so yes, there's some crazy stuff going on in the world right now. Yes, I definitely have had some personal stuff I've had to contend with, but I am so grateful for all the wonderful things in my life that I do have. I didn't, adversely suffer financially over the pandemic, which I know a lot of people did. I'm so grateful for that. I had the love and support of my wonderful spouse, who's also the drummer in my band, Tyler. I'm grateful we have each other. I'm grateful that we still have a nice little cat family. So that's nice too. Even though we lost our 17-year-old Prince, we still have, other family members, which I'm a crazy cat lady, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I'm also grateful that, while we weren't able to tour and I lost kind of that dynamic, I think it was actually a blessing in disguise in that I needed to be there for my family. So I think that when one door closes, another one always opens, and you can't always necessarily see that at the time because it's really easy to get caught up in the emotion of all of that stuff going on. But I think that I think I was where I needed to be. It's that simple. So I try to just stay grounded and acknowledge the fact that, man, despite all the insanity going on right now, I have so much to be grateful for. And, I'm very, very appreciative of all of that. And I try to just kind of focus on the end in sight, keep a sense of hope in my heart, and just push through.
It's fun. It's not funny, but you and I have something similar that happened during the pandemic. I had COVID 3 times, but
oh geez, I'm sorry.
And I had the long-term effects, all kinds of crap. But my cat of only 8 years died on the same day a friend died. So that was funny. So I had to deal with all of that. And then I think the following year, my aunt, so it was a succession of events. So I completely understand you. Now, we do know, obviously, during that time, things were tragic, yada, yada. But we know that through these things, there were some pros. So the things that I saw were that, around my neighborhood, there were more family members walking together. This shouldn't be a foreign idea, but people are always fast-paced, have time for family. I know colleagues that said when they look back, they said, oh, my God, I wasn't spending enough time with family, so they cut back on hours. I read so many articles about people quitting their jobs because what the pandemic did, it allowed for self-reflection, and people are like, you know what? I don't want to be miserable. I need to eat. I need food, I need clothing on my back. I need a roof over my head, but I should be doing something that I'm happy with, my destiny, my mission, whatever you want to call it. So there were a lot of articles of people quitting their jobs. And then, climate change, the animals were happy that we were not out there. The pollution level went down. Were. Mother Nature was like, maybe they won't come back. So pollution level went down. And then there's artists like you and I that decided to rebrand, or we created EPs, albums, singles. Some people decided, screw this music thing. I'm not doing it. It's not for me anymore. So, what I'm trying to get at, there was a lot of self-introspection. So did you think about your brand, you as a person? Is there anything you thought about changing, or did you say, you know what? I'm Rose fucking Cora Perry, and that's who I am.
You know what? I think, with everything that I try to do, I always try to challenge myself. So I don't want to sound like I'm full of myself, because I'm not, but I consider myself a student of psychology and a fairly introspective person already. So I don't think it necessarily took a pandemic just to make me think that way, because I try to think like that on a fairly regular basis. And every time I think about what I'm going to write in a song, like obviously it's coming from a really real and authentic place, but something that is incredibly important to my mission as a songwriter is to write songs that are really relevant and things that people can relate to. And so I'm very deliberate with the kind of stuff that I put out there, because I'm trying to spread positive messages and messages of being inspirational and getting people to kind of open their eyes and think about things differently and come together and that sort of thing. So as far as kind of rebranding, no, I'm pretty darn happy with the person I am. And I mean, my parents raised me to be a tough, feisty Italian woman, and that's exactly who I am. So I don't see that changing anytime soon.
I absolutely love that. You know who you are. And, you know, there's so many people that are trying to figure out who they are. So when you get to that point, that is a beautiful, 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 amazing thing. I like the fact that you write music about life in general, you know, the real. You talk about the real. I do that as well. I'm all into social impact message songs. Really don't care. I'm going to talk about it. And I like the fact you're like me in the sense that, you know, I want my music to make a difference. I want somebody to sit there and think. It's not about changing people's minds, but you want to give them a picture that will allow them to see a perspective that they may not have thought about. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And music is such a great and powerful tool. It is
100%.
Amazing thing. And what I learned during the pandemic, because my God, I had so much free time, I took all these webinars, especially on TikTok and stuff like that, and music in general, is that people love authenticity. They cling to it. In fact, TikTok says the videos that do the best are the ones that are the most authentic, because when people see that, they're just like, oh my God, I can do that too. And so what music does. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is I think honestly that because we live in a world that, as much as we try to say that we break down barriers of difference and that, you know, we're all inclusive and all inviting, we still very much live in a world that's governed by social mores and, you know, guidelines of what it is to be him or her or this or a dolphin or whatever the hell you want to identify as. And I mean, even as a woman working in the rock and roll industry, you know, I consider myself assertive and confident. And usually when you use those adjectives to describe a woman, then that, you know, then becomes synonyms for she's a bitch. Whereas if a man is working in the rock and roll industry with the very same kind of temperament and demeanor, you know, just being straightforward to the point, you know, they're kind of respected as somebody who grabs the bull by the balls.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I really think that being authentic is really important. And I think it's really important for people to feel like they can be, that they can feel empowered to just be who it is they are on the inside, whatever that is. And that, you know, you don't necessarily have to buy into social conventions of whatever it is that you're subscribing to. Like, I mean, I think it goes without saying that, yes, there are clear biological differences between, you know, animals and humans, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, I mean, if I want to be a woman and I define a woman as being strong and confident, that doesn't make me any less feminine. Just like if a man wants to be a man and he's, you know, very loving and caring, that doesn't make him any less masculine. I think it's just being real to who you are. And I think that it's very, very important for people just to do soul searching and find out who it is they want to be and what it is they want to be and be unapologetic about that.
Amen. I mean, it's a beautiful thing when people can self-realize and say, okay, this is who I am and I am happy. That's one thing I like about the United States. The United States is allowing or being more open to the many different genders out there. I am we are at I'll be honest with you, I literally have to go and Google, because there's so much out there right now. I have to Google. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? What does this mean? But I have issues with certain aspects of things when certain groups that they just don't want to recognize women anymore, like the cisgender thing. I'm like, if somebody calls me that, I'll get very upset, because you can't erase me. You can't erase me just to make yourself.
No.
You know what I mean? You just can't do that.
Right.
So that's a whole another ball of wax. But I love the fact that people can be so open and understanding and compassionate, because when you look at the world, it's just chaotic. I mean, in the United States, it's just chaotic. I mean, I wrote a song called Numb, because I think that's where we are, and it's gun violence. I'm like, if something happens, oh, there was another shooting, and people are just like, oh, they shed a tear, and the next day, oh, they go about their business, and nothing changes.
Well, not even the next day, pretty much within 30 seconds, because of all the information we're constantly having thrown at us via social media. It's like, oh, well, on to the next thing. And I mean, you get like a millisecond of people's time anymore.
Exactly. So you completely understand that. Now, how important is it for you to be authentic in your music, your songwriting, you as a person? And I know the answer to this, but I want the world to this, because I already know.
I think honestly, it's the key to happiness. To be honest, if you're not being yourself, who is it that you're being, and who are you trying to please? Like, the reality is that the people in your life that truly care about you, they'll accept you for who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. They really were. And the people who don't, or the people who are jealous or petty or cruel towards you, well, you don't need that nonsense. None of us do. There's enough hatred that we don't need people tearing us apart. Now, I'm not saying I'm giving anybody license to be an asshole to each other. I think we should try and be nice people to each other. I'm definitely a firm believer in, treat those as you want to be treated, right? 100%. But at the same time, like, I don't feel that, we should feel like we're being prevented from pursuing things, or prevented from, identifying in certain ways just because of social conventions. Like, you have to be what's real in your heart, and you have to be true to that. But again, just don't be an asshole to each other, and we can all get along. What a concept.
There you go. Isn't that an interesting concept? Now, how did you get into the music industry? Did you come out of the womb and you were just like, yep, me and music? Or was it something you heard, you saw? What happened? How did it come to be?
I blame my parents once again. Okay. They obviously saw some sort of performance or musical inclination in me as a child, as I was enrolled in vocal lessons at age 4, which I studied for about 14 years. So I went through classical vocal training. And then at age 7, I actually wrote my very first song. I didn't know at the time when I was doing all of this that rock would be where I found myself. But essentially, I was a teenager. I had a lot of mental health issues. I suffered greatly with depression. I suffered, greatly with self-esteem issues. I mean, I suffered from an eating disorder at one point. I really had a lot of self-loathing and a lot of, introspection that I had to do myself to get to a point where I was like, you know what? I might not be perfect, but I always try my damn best. Not everybody's going to like me. That's okay. There's other people that they can like. I just have to get to a place where I'm healthy and I'm happy, and I'm just trying to do the best that I can, as a fan for myself and for others. And rock and roll just really spoke to my heart in terms of the fact that, number one, it's a really powerful form of music where you can let out a lot of animosity, which obviously I had. I was bullied a lot growing up, so there was a lot of kind of deep-seated feelings about that I had to express. But I also liked how raw and genuine it was, how it was kind of unfettered. Whereas when I was singing my classical stuff and doing my training, everything was very much by the book. Like, you sing the dynamics and you sing the notes exactly as they're transcribed on the sheet music. It didn't allow for any interpretation. Whereas rock is all about energy, and it's all about aggression, and it's all about dynamic. And it was just a really freeing experience to kind of discover the rock and roll scene and meet other weirdos like me who, at their teenage years were either punks or goths. And I finally, for once in my life, actually felt like I fit in. So rock found me, but my parents enrolled me in music. So I think it was kind of like just a I don't know. I guess a happenstance, so to speak.
Well, kudos to your parents, because I love the parents that can see the beauty within their child and know, oh my God, we got to do this. I wish my parents had enrolled me in like a piano lesson or something. Well, I don't. Well, it's never too late to learn. I've got this this keyboard here that I bought like 6 years ago. Still in a box, but I just put it. It's like frustrating. Oh, I've been so busy. It's just, oh my God, it's just so crazy. Now, I am going to play your song, Not My Time. Tell me what that's about.
Sure. So it was actually written after I experienced a pretty nasty bout of COVID myself. And so when I say it's not my time to die, I literally meant that, because I was damn scared. I was really sick. I was really, really unwell for a number of weeks. I'm lucky it never got to the point of hospitalization, but my spouse was pretty freaked out because of how ill I was. So I wrote it for a couple of reasons. Number one, as you know, just kind of that reflective experience of what I personally went through, but I wanted to get at the greater message that, hey, this is not just about a physical ailment that's affected a vast, a huge amount of people, but it's also about how the pandemic has affected us all socially and psychologically, and it's not our time to give up on each other.
I love it. All right, let's play it.
Don't look back. Don't look back. Don't look back. Don't look back.
Loved it. Loved it. Absolutely. I was jamming. I was singing along.
Nice.
What is your songwriting process? Obviously, that's about the time during COVID and stuff like that, but it can be used for other things as well. So how do you
for
go?
sure.
How do you get inspired to write a song, and how do you go about it?
Yeah, and you know what? I anytime people ask me this, I wish I had a better answer. But honest to God, it's like divine inspiration. Basically, I have to be in a certain mood. It's usually when I'm pissed off or sad, and then a melody just comes into my head. I can't explain it. It comes from nothing into my head, and I start humming a tune, and then I start hearing the first couple of lyrics, and I just grab a guitar and I write the whole thing. Basically, I bang it out in about 30 minutes or so. That's just how it happens. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I can't predict it. I have long spells where I can't write anything, and then spells where I'll write, several songs in succession. So it's kind of like a sporadic thing, but it's a very, very real process and something I would never want to force.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly like you. I can't be forced. Obviously, if somebody says, "Oh, write me a song," da, 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 I work with it. But when I'm writing my own stuff, I will sit and I still write on paper, but I also use the screen and I'll yell at the screen. I'll yell at the piece of paper, and then I have to leave it alone. And then the next day, I'm just like, "Oh, there's the song." I don't know what it is about that first moment. I mean, but the shower, I can come up with the best stuff in the shower. And then forget about it. I mean, I have my cell phone right there. And then somebody said there was like a pad you could put in the shower that's waterproof that I bought that I never used that I should use. So
for sure.
I want to create like a gadget though, like a waterproof gadget for the shower, because let me tell you how many people say they come up with stuff in the shower. Somebody said it's because you're so much more relaxed in that moment that the ideas just flow. And I've got to say, I agree with that assessment, because I'm just like, you go back, you're like, what did I say? Okay, maybe I can remember something. Now, you are a female rock musician. What is the toughest and the hardest part of having to do that? Be that in this industry?
Probably being taken seriously. Because the reality is, like, I don't care that it's 2023. The reality is that anytime you're a female rock musician, there's still kind of this unwritten assumption when you show up at a venue, whether it's the other bands or the sound guy or the venue owner, they always wonder if you actually have talent or if you're just eye candy. And it's just like, it's my band. I'm the front woman. I write all the songs. It's my project. It wouldn't exist without me. And I don't say that again to sound like an egomaniac. I'm not at all. The musicians that I have in my project, like our touring bassist, Jessie, is phenomenally talented. I think she's wonderful. I love working with her. My spouse, who's our drummer, he's also an incredibly multi-talented instrumentalist. He plays lead guitar. He plays bass. I have so much respect for my fellow musicians, but it's really infuriating to still kind of feel like you get minimized or see as a woman first as opposed to a musician first. And I don't say that again to insult my womanhood. I'm proud of being a strong woman, but it's just like I'm an equal. It shouldn't be qualified as female musician or woman musician. It's like, no, I'm a rock musician. End of story. I write from a female sensibility because I am a woman, but I have a lot of male fans that my lyrics really resonate with. So clearly it's not, like I'm only appealing to a female audience. And I mean, we had a gig a couple months ago in Toronto where I remember I was packing up my patch cables for my guitar and getting my amplifier and stuff all off the stage as we were loading out for the night. And some dude randomly came up to me. I don't know if it was supposed to be a pickup line or if he was trying to gauge my status, but it failed epically. But he made the comment to me, "Oh, so nice of you to be packing up for your boyfriend." And I'm like, "It was my band, dude."
Doofus.
So stuff like that is just that's probably the thing that kind of gets under my skin. Either that or the opposite, in that if you have an interaction with a male fan or a male musician and they somehow turn that around in their mind, you just simply saying hi or being nice is you wanting to sleep with them. Just saying hi or smiling is not an invitation for sexual innuendos.
Right.
There's a very, very different way of interaction if I was wanting to be flirted with. I deliberately, I'm very specific with my image and in terms of what I put out there. I'm not trying to get that kind of attention. If you want a woman to lust over, go look at porn. I'm here to be an artist, and I'm here to be respected for what I have to say.
Amen.
And again, that's absolutely no disrespect to women who, they got it, they want to flaunt it. That's just not me, and I don't want to welcome that attention more because I don't even try to get that attention. I still get it.
Wow, do you see? That means you're just hot. You just hot all around.
I guess, but I'm not looking for people's validation of my attractiveness. I'm just trying to be a good songwriter. Like, I'm happy with who I am. I'm in a loving relationship. Why the hell do I care if anybody else thinks I'm beautiful? Like, how does that do anything for me at the end of the day? I'm happy with myself. I don't need that.
I hear you. I feel you. Now, how was the Warped Tour? I always wanted to go to that.
Pretty epic experience all around. I have to say that as far as making a sincere effect on the independent music industry for like the past 20 or so years, there probably are few people that hold a candle to Kevin Lyman, the founder of Warped Tour. Not only is he an incredibly humble and accessible man, but he sincerely believes in trying to help independent artists, get to the forefront and have these opportunities. And I feel so privileged to have, been able to play Warped Tour a couple of times with different projects, including The Truth Untold, and, have been able to interact with him on a first name basis. I feel truly, truly honored and grateful for that experience and what he accomplished. And, in terms of helping so many bands break, it's incredible. It's incredible. He has a hell of a legacy and, one that I can only, kind of raise the highest possible accolades to.
Awesome. Now let's talk about artificial intelligence.
Okay. That's a really random topic.
I just jumped into something else. AI. Well, AI is trying to invade in our artistry. I know
it already has though. Like, what the hell is auto-tune?
Well, yeah, auto-tune. But AI is AI. It's not like another person, but AI is just a thing, right? That people are using for, like, there's oh my God, I can't remember the name. Ava, I think it's called Ava, where you can use that instead of using real people, you can use that for your background vocalist.
Right, but to me, how is that any different than if you're claiming to be a musician and you're going into the studio and you're layering on the auto-tune or using drum samples because you're not talented enough to pull it off? In my humble opinion, if you're a musician and you're serious about your craft, then you should be able to play your instruments. You shouldn't have to rely on all these fancy production tactics, whether it's AI generated or not. To me, it's all the same garbage. And I am somebody who's very, very much of the 90s mentality that it should be raw and authentic. And the way that you sound in the studio should be how you sound live.
And that is a perspective. That is, yeah, okay. No, I mean, that's a different take on it. I personally, I see a difference with AI. AI is not an actual person. Now, I know about all these different tools that producers use to enhance, like Melodyne. I don't play an instrument. I've been dying to learn for years. I've been super busy.
Right.
I think it's imperative that musicians know how to play something. I'm praying this year, in honor of my father, I'd love to learn how to play the guitar. I tried many years ago, and I was like, I feel like a contortionist. I need to get a smaller guitar because I don't know, my body feels weird. But with AI, it's like one of the questions my friend asked me was like, well, who owns the copyright if you're using AI? Well, technically,
Right.
AI can't get the copyright because AI is not a real person. But when you find these people that can, let's say they say, okay, I want to use Rose Cora Perry's vocals on something, they can take the AI to make it sound exactly like you, which is
Yeah, I can't say I would be okay with that.
But no, neither would I. They tried to do that again. I think with Drake and the Weeknd. Somebody tried to use it, but they had to take it down. They don't have the right to do that. But this is how far AI can basically just take over. I was looking at it one day because they were saying how people can go there if you're in school and say, well, write an essay on Abraham Lincoln, and boom, bam, the thing does it for you. I mean, there's some stuff you have to tweak. I mean, we're going to become an industry, a world that you just don't have to think for yourself. And I think that's very tragic. I mean, the kids growing up today, their grammar, their language ability is just shocking, and it's sad. The LOLs, the OMGs, you know, some adults even use, and they're trying to say you, they'll use the letter U and stuff like that, which I think is really tragic.
Right.
Because language can be so beautiful when you use it right. And
well, it's a hyper reliance on technology, right? But
right.
I mean,
right.
how is using AI in the studio, which essentially is getting rid of the whole necessity of having a human there, any different than having an automated checkout at a store? You're basically taking away jobs from people, and you're taking away reliance on God-given talent. So I'm sorry if like I sound like a bit of a hard ass as far as my anti-technology stance, but I guess my perspective is this: like, if there's two musicians, one of whom has literally spent decades training and preparing and, you know, honestly honing their craft and putting their blood, sweat, and tears into it so that they can give you an epic performance. And then there's somebody else who has picked up an iPad from the store and is just using auto-tune, and everything is fake samples. They can't actually play anything, and they can't sing. Like, who am I going to have respect for? And I'm not saying that the second individual doesn't have some form of creativity, but if you want to pursue something as a passion, like, shouldn't you be willing to put some effort into it as opposed to just use technology to make up for all of your deficits? Like, I mean, you know, when I was in school, and again, like, this is the hard-ass Italian upbringing, but when I was in school, my weakest subject by far was mathematics. I struggled. Oh, my God. I had to work so hard to get through math, and I remember I only took it up to grade 11, and then when I went to university, it came back to bite me in the ass because I had to pass the statistics course in order to get my honors BA. And I was terrified. I was thinking I was going to have to, you know, completely reorient my degree or not be able to get a degree from university because I hadn't done math in so many years and I was never a strong suit of mine. Well, instead of, you know, trying to rely on somebody else, I hired a tutor. I took sessions with my professor. After every single test where I didn't do as well as I had thought, I made a deliberate point of meeting with him after class so we could go over where the areas were that I needed to focus. Now, did I ever become a professional mathematician? Hell no. But did I become a lot more confident? Absolutely I did. Why? Because I put the effort in. So if you want to pursue something, or if you need to pursue something, then be willing to actually do it. Like, put some effort and thought into it. Don't just, you know, do a half-assed way and expect to be taken seriously.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you have the right to your opinion. I appreciate that, and I respect it. And there's a lot of points that I agree with you on. You know, like some of the things I always tell my friends, because some of my friends like to always have the top players in their on their albums and stuff like that, and I'm always like, well, you know, the homeless man down the street or Joe Schmo down the road can probably play just as well as those people. Like, I'm not a name dropper. I don't care. I could care less. If you can play, you can play, you can do your thing, please, by all means,
Right.
you can be part of my
Right.
thing. You know what I mean? So I completely understand your perspective on having actual people that have been spent, their blood, sweat, and tears on their own creativity so that, somebody can hire them to play. No, I completely understand that. Completely. And I think what you're saying is extremely valid.
But you're challenging me where?
No, there's no but. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, I think that sometimes people don't use live musicians because of budget. Obviously, it's a lot more cheaper than to use the tools that they have on the computer. Like some of my songs, my producer said, yeah, this is the same piano that Adele uses. So he uses a lot of high-end stuff. I mean, my budget is low. My budget, I try to do the best that I can. Would it be great?
Right.
I'd love to be able to do a live album one day. That would be fantastic.
You're still singing and writing the songs, right?
Yeah,
that's my point.
Yes, I am. I'm still the one.
It's not like it's all entirely just computer generated and then you're putting your name on it. Like that's what I'm saying. Singing is still very much an instrument. Do not do yourself a disservice. I wasn't saying you just had to play. I consider my voice my instrument above anything else.
Yeah. So and I can sing in French, English, Spanish, and stuff like that. So I can do my thing. I do my thing.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
So one of the questions I like to ask is this: what are 3 things you wish you had known before you got into the music industry?
That's a loaded question.
That's what I said. It's a loaded question, but let me tell you, there's some people that are like, I don't know. And then when I start talking, and they said, oh yeah, that's a good one.
Point number 1, that talent is not the most important factor to being successful. Right. And I don't say that. I mean, the reality is that if I were, born into the Hilton family like Paris Hilton, I'd be a heck of a lot more successful, irrespective of whether I had talent, because that is a family with wealth and connections that I don't have. I am the daughter of a life insurance salesman and fitness trainer. No musical connections whatsoever. But in saying that, just because somebody is more successful than you should not necessarily interpret that as you're failing in any way. So I would say my second point would be that there are different definitions of success. One is not necessarily better or worse than another. I think that it's really important for musicians to find their own path. So I have lots of friends who are musicians who are full-time musicians. They live and breathe music to the point where they're teaching it. If they're not teaching it, they're out there doing 4 or 5 cover gigs a night where, they're spending 3 or 4 hours playing covers and, also trying to do their original thing. God love them. I give them credit for that. I couldn't do it. I would find that exhausting, and I wouldn't want to be overusing my voice that much. I would rather just have a side gig where I tour when I want, I release the music when I want, and I do it kind of on my schedule and no one's breathing down my throat. Does that make me unsuccessful? No, it's my version of success. So I think I probably answered the point that success is relative, number 1. Number 2, talent is not the only factor. And number 3, you have to find your own kind of path and carve it out. And I think that's kind of a lesson that can be applied to anything, irrespective of whether we're talking about music or just life in general. Find what works for you and makes you happy. It's that simple.
I agree. One of the things I always tell people is that what I didn't know is how scammy music is. I mean, it's almost like they smell you. They smell new artists trying to do their thing, and they latch on to them. Oh, my God, I can make you a star. That's a BS. Do your due diligence. Do your research on people when they come and contact you. Talk to the people that have worked with them or not worked with them. I mean,
if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Oh, my gosh. that the music business is very hard. It's 24/7. It is
Yeah.
and things are a lot harder because of social media. You got to be on this. You
Oh
got to
yeah.
be on that. Da, da, da. It's just I mean, I just funny thing is I'm on TikTok, but my TikToks are not. I put my music. Oh, there's I have views. Blah blah. I do stuff on the stuff that's going on in the world. It's like 54,000 views. Da, da, da. It's a different dynamic. My Instagram, my Facebook, yeah, it's all about music and all that good stuff. But it's different now for everybody. It's like when you're writing a song, sometimes you're like, oh my God, is this going to work on this platform? If that's what you're into, is it going to go viral? Right. How can I get more people to listen to it? What can I post about today? It's a lot more work than back in the day, because like you said, anybody can be an artist, especially if you have music. It doesn't even matter if you have talent. So then now you have to compete against that tomfoolery. And you're like, well, I've been doing this for a while, and I've studied, and I've done this, but then these people, what is that girl's name? She's a rap artist. Not take me out of it. What is that Cash Out girl? I can't remember what her name is, but she was this rude little girl that went on Dr. Phil. I mean, Cash Me Out. Is that what her name is? Cash Me Out, something like that. But she was rude on Dr. Phil, and then all of a sudden, boom, bam, Sony wanted to sign her. For her being so disrespectful and rude, they signed her, or was it Sony? One of the record labels. And then she just became, she's not even a rapper or whatever, but they put her on there, and she made millions of dollars, and now she has an OnlyFans account where she makes millions and millions of dollars. I said, for me, that's just very sad that these labels will just want to go after the person they think is going to make them money. But this girl was so rude and nasty. It's like, this is what you want? It's just sad. Absolutely sad.
Controversy sells, whether that's a good or a bad thing. And I mean, I think the reality is that I would be a lot more successful if, number one, I posted a bunch of belligerent, really rude, terrible things, or number two, I did strip teases. I'm not going to do either.
I hear you.
I already know that those two things would make me more successful, but that's not who I am. And again, I think it goes back to your definition of success. But you are right 100 million times over that there are so many scams and so many opportunities for people to try and take advantage of you, and they will if they can. And I mean, I think something that happens all the time that people don't actually talk about very frequently anymore are pay-to-play scams.
Right.
So back in the 80s, payola on radio was a very, very well-known thing, and it was kind of public knowledge that this was a reality that was going on. But I think the common person doesn't realize that a lot of like really sweet opening spots for major bands, like on tour, or a lot of spots on festivals, those are paid slots. Those artists aren't getting booked. They're paying like 10, 20 grand for the opportunity to play.
Crazy. That is crazy.
So then music becomes not simply about not necessarily having the talent, but obviously having a huge amount of money and a hole in your pocket to burn. And so then it becomes, a discussion of socioeconomic. So are you being blocked out of opportunities because you simply don't have extra pocket change? And that's a whole other conversation when we're supposed to be talking about something based off of meritocracy and talent. Well, my friends, that's clearly not the reality.
Yep, definitely. Well, oh, what a world we live in. But we have to continue to do the music because the music makes the difference. And I always tell people this is our superpower. Music has the ability to heal, move mountains. People can use it to laugh, scream, dance, do whatever. It's a place where no matter what's going on in the world, everybody just gets along when they're listening to their favorite type of music. So,
100%.
We just have to keep doing our thing. That's all there is to it. But thank you so much.
I think all us can never hope for us, any of us can ever hope for as songwriters is just to put something out there that makes a difference for somebody. And if it did, then that to me is what you set out to do.
Amen to that. Amen. Well, thank you, Rose, for being on Chatting with Nat. I think you're awesome.
No, thank you for having me.
I love your authenticity. I love your straightforwardness. I love the fact that you have opinions and they're matter of fact, and you're allowed to have them. That's the point of all of this.
Well, right back at you. And I think we probably agreed on about 99% of things, which is pretty cool because we clearly have very different backgrounds, but it's awesome to have a meeting of the minds for sure.
Oh, because people are just, like I say, cray cray. The world is gone cray cray. I tell my mom all the time. I said, if an alien spaceship says, if I want to go, I'm leaving. I'll make music on Mars, on Uranus, whatever. I'll be making music over there because it's just every day. It's something. But yeah, I'm definitely going to follow you and check out everything else. I think eventually we should do like a IG live. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah, let's just do that. But thank you once again for being on Chatting with Nat. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciated it, and I hope that your listeners enjoyed this too, and I wasn't too spicy for a Tuesday night.
Oh, you were spicy. You were spicy enough. You were spicy. I love spicy. It makes things even more lovely. All right, everybody. This was award-winning Canadian rock musician Rose Cora Perry. You can find her at www.rosecoraperry.com. She's on Facebook at Rose Cora Perry Official, on Twitter, Rose Cora Perry, on Instagram, Rose Cora Perry, on YouTube, Rose Cora Perry. And if you can't remember that, you know what you can do? You can Google. You can actually stream her music, and better yet, you can buy it. Yeah, that old-fashioned thing of buying music, we still need to eat and live and breathe. So why not buy that music? All right, everyone. Until next time on Chatting with Nat. Love your own power. Love your own power. Love your own power. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Love your power. Love your power.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
El juego raspadito Lotería de la Lotería de Maryland está de regreso con todos sus símbolos favoritos justo a tiempo para el año nuevo. Haga coincidir 4 símbolos en una línea en el tablero del raspadito Lotería y podrá ganar hasta $30,000 al instante. ¿Qué símbolos serán los que te traerán suerte? La corona, la luna, la bota, la rana. Solicite raspaditos de Lotería en la tienda donde compre juegos de la Lotería de Maryland. Por favor, juegue responsablemente. Debe ser mayor de 18 años para jugar.
¡Gané! ¡Lotería, lotería!